you say this is just show my people. Believe our hopes so to needless reason. Nobody feel about this divide we dealing. Let's find a solution. Yeah. No respect on selfishness and cooperation. That's how we need to build a strong nation. We are the people to make the changes. We are the changes to be obeyed. And all the things that must happen and not got blue skies. And nothing that people get victimized. Let's work together for better. We got to unite. Belize, yeah. Wake up, Belize. Wake up, Belize. Another day is here. Wake up, Belize. Wake up, Belize. We got to keep moving. Na. Wake up, Belize. Wake up, Belize. Everybody got to put their time in.
Morning and welcome to Wake Up Belize Morning Vibes Talk Show for this morning, Friday, June 27, 2025, the last Friday of the month of June. Imagine 6 months for the year done gone already. Give thanks to wake up for the one that will wake up because some people never wake up. And with the move and the weather hold up, at least the Belize City, the weather hold up. So we're not complaining about the rain because the earth needs the rain, but some of our life more challenging when it rains. So anytime not the rain, no mind the street then got water, the drain then got water, mosquito the boat, but we still have one lot to be thankful for this morning. It's Friday morning here behind the zinc fence at 3304 Amandala Drive, Sweet Southside, Belize City. I'm Sister YaYa, Marin Coleman, sitting in for Brother Noor Mohammed. And we are live on XTV on your local channel, live streaming on XTV Belize YouTube, XTV Belize Facebook, and simulcasting on CREM Radio. You know the usual lineup. We're going to start off with the weather forecast from the National Meteorological Service of Belize. The forecaster is Crystal Rosales. And then we have the news brief, the first one for the morning, prepared by XTV Newsroom, under the leadership of Sister Marcela Maya. So, make hear what happened with the weather today.
Moist and unstable conditions linger over the country. In the 24-hour forecast, skies will be mostly cloudy to overcast. Some showers, periods of rain, and a few thunderstorms will occur around the country during today. Please note that an excessive rainfall watch remains in effect, as excessive rainfall is possible over the country during the next 24 to 48 hours. Residents are advised to continue monitoring the weather situation and then stay tuned to official forecast updates. High temperatures for today will reach around 84 degrees Fahrenheit along the coast, 85 degrees Fahrenheit inland, and 77 degrees Fahrenheit in the mountains. Low temperatures for tonight will reach around 77 degrees Fahrenheit along the coast, 72 degrees Fahrenheit inland, and then 67 degrees Fahrenheit in the hills. Winds over the open sea will be from the east to southeast at 10 to 20 knots with occasionally higher gusts, and then sea conditions will be moderate to rough. So please note that a small craft caution remains in effect, and operators of small crafts are advised to exercise caution. And then high tides occur at 10:54 this morning and at 12:30 tomorrow morning. Low tides at 6:26 this evening and then at 5:25 tomorrow morning. The moon will rise at 6:25 this morning and then set at 8:06 tonight, and then sunset is at 6:30 this evening and sunrise at 5:20 tomorrow morning. In the extended forecast, there will be cloudy spells with generally isolated showers or thunderstorms expected for Saturday and Saturday night. And finally, for the tropical weather outlook, an area of disorganized showers and thunderstorms over the northwestern Caribbean Sea and just to the east of Belize has a low chance of further development as it moves west-northwestwards into the Bay of Campeche by Saturday or Saturday night. Regardless of development, the system could bring excess rainfall to Belize, Guatemala, and southeastern Mexico during the next few days. Elsewhere, tropical cyclone formation is not expected during the next 48 hours. And this has been this morning's weather report from the National Meteorological Service.
The first private radio in Belize since 1989, CREM FM presents the news. Informative, accurate, current information, local, regional, and international news, weather and sports. And now, the news.
meeting that carried on for 4 hours in Belize City yesterday, the government of Belize presented a third counteroffer with enhanced terms to the joint union's negotiating team junta. Rather than the previous 3 years, the 8.5% salary adjustment requested by the unions would be paid in 2 years. A first 4.5% would be paid out on October 1 this year, followed by the second tranche of 4% on October 1, 2026. One increment is to be unfrozen beginning April 1, 2026, and the other one on April 1, 2027. Deputy Prime Minister Curdle Hyde is hopeful that the union members will accept this last proposal. He said the meeting was intense but productive and expressed the hope that after 6 weeks they are closer to the end. He was asked about the reaction of the union leaders when the proposal was presented. The DPM was also asked about the political ad attack against PSU President Dean Flowers. Flowers and BNTU President Nadia Martin Callis said the proposal was improved, but reminded that it will be the membership who will decide if they accept it. The third final increment frozen under the Barrow administration will be discussed under their collective bargaining agreement. Martin Callis made the point that their good governance requests will be raised as part of the CBA discussions. Retired public officer, former Deputy Commissioner Aaron Guzman is being paid on contract to serve as advisor to Home Affairs CEO Sharolee Carr-Saldivar. His salary is reported to be $70,000 annually plus a government vehicle. The Minister of Home Affairs, Honorable Kareem Mosa, justified the post and said such contracts are common across the public service.
It's not anything new. These government contracts exist in all ministries. Obviously, the CEO comes from an administrative background, not a policing background, and so having the type of advice and counsel from somebody like a senior like Aaron Guzman has been very valuable to the ministry and valuable to the CEO in the conduct of her duties.
Some have said that if the CEO needed advice, the current compol can be asked for such advice. We know that the Public Service Union President Dean Flowers has criticized such hires, calling them double dipping, as the officers would be receiving pension plus a salary. Yesterday, Flowers said it is the first time he is hearing of what he equates to CEO aides. In a release Thursday, the Cabinet said it recommended for the long-awaited Occupational Safety and Health Bill, OSH, to be tabled at the next sitting of the House of Representatives. A draft of the OSH bill was first presented to Cabinet in 2014. In the last 5 years, the National Trade Union Congress of Belize launched a campaign for the government to, quote, rush the OSH, end quote. Much progress was made in recent years between the Chamber of Commerce and the NTUCB on the bill, but it took some time to get approval from the Ministry of Labor that was then responsible to take the draft bill to Cabinet. A House meeting is scheduled for today, and that brings us to the end of this morning's news brief. For more news, you can tune in to Creme Radio immediately after Wake Up Belize Morning Vibes show ends at 9 o'clock. From 9 to 12, it's Morning Stew. At 12 o'clock, 12:30, there's a full news package. At 3 o'clock, there's a news brief, and at 5:15, there's a full news package on Creme Radio. At 6 o'clock, there's a full news package here at XTV. And remember, you could always go to XTV YouTube channel and subscribe, friendly, and listen and watch all our programming. And you could also go to XTV Belize Facebook page. We're going to take a break. I have to drink my tea and behave like government workers. You know, that's something we a lot of government workers do. Then get that work for 8 o'clock. They send go buy them breakfast, and they see you in the lobby or in the line they wait, and they take their own good time. And then they come back and then drink their tea, and then they pan their public servants. Someone got some bad behavior. I just remember because I go drink my tea. I ain't different than them. I thought I work and I drink my tea. Anyways, quick break, and then we'll come back.
Informative, accurate, current information. Crem's newscast. Local, regional, and international news. Weather and sports.
At Atlantic Bank, we stand as more than just a financial institution. We are your partners in progress, dedicated to fostering your success by providing tailored solutions to micro, small, and medium enterprises. Your successes are our triumphs, and every success story deserves to be celebrated. We pledge to stand by you every step of the way. Today, we celebrate the values that define you with your unwavering dedication, steadfast commitment, boundless innovation, resolute work ethic, and unyielding ambition. We will navigate challenges, seize opportunities, and continue building the future together.
Amandala is now online. You can now access Amandala's midweek and weekend issues online by logging on to our website at amandala.com.bz/news and joining our membership portal today. There's 5 easy steps to get unlimited access to weekly e-paper, archive publications, and a host of other exclusive contents. Number 1, go to Amandala's website. Number 2, navigate to subscribed areas. Number 3, choose a membership level. Number 4, check out using our secured portal. Number 5, log into the members only section. Telephone numbers 501-280-4703 or 202-4477. Fax us at 501-222-4702, or you could email at amandalapress@yahoo.com or amandalapress@gmail.com. Amandala, all power to the people.
Imagine getting rewards for your spending. Smart prepaid customers countrywide, it's time to level up with Smart Gains. Smart Gains are exclusive, limited time offers sent straight to your phone. We're talking irresistible rewards. You'll actually want extra credit, bonus data, and exclusive perks, all tailored to you. Because at Smart, we've always got your back. Don't miss out on rewards made just for you. Smart games, smart savings, smart you. Smart, bringing people together.
In 2024, the Belizean Diaspora took over Los Angeles with the first ever Belize Diaspora Summit. And you know the only thing that could be ever better than that is to do it again. Belize Diaspora Summit 2.0. This time it takes place in the state of Florida, Fort Lauderdale Board Convention Center, July 10th, the 11th, the 12th. Belizeans from the diaspora, Belizeans from home in Belize, join together. Let's do it again. 3 days, government services, clinics, business displays, kitty corner, pop-up trivias, panel discussions. There will be highlights for business mixers. There will be live performance. Racindio, Destiny Wagner is going to be there. There's going to be a live performance of Makobi. And you will have Immigration and Civil Rights Town Hall, special guest Kenneth Gibson, interview and book reading. There will be a wind-up reception, rhythms and rum. It's happening, Belize Diaspora 2.0, Florida, Fort Lauderdale Board Convention Center. Don't miss it.
To Wake Up Belize Morning Vibes Talk Show for this wet Friday morning. When I read news, I'm like, that the rain? When I call in and tell me what part of the call from me in the country and tell me if it rain. When I give me a local weather report, the number is 280-5848. Call and tell we what the weather stay like wherever you are in the country of Belize. Pan land, pan water. Call and tell you what the weather stay like. Today is Friday, so it's paper day. The Mandela newspaper is on sale for $1.50 Belize money. Headline say, what? Ashcroft suing government again? Then 40 KHMH workers calling sick. Public Service Day observed this week. Voir for Elmer Na, charged with triple murder. 27 pages in the Mandela newspaper. It's number Mandela compound line. I don't need these glasses. August 13th, 1969, I think it is. And so this is number 3,846. Can you imagine? Belizean people buy all their paper from we, and we thank you. We couldn't do it without you. We are really one people-powered, driven media house. Times tough, so we appreciate people making the sacrifice for buying the Mandela newspaper. And sometimes I back, but they don't have it this time. I tell you, like all the outlets people could get a Mandela newspaper from, but the back of the Mandela have noticed the tax defaulters. I tell you. Anyways, that the state center said 2 things are sure: you're on pay tax and dead, but that depends on the bracket, the social economic bracket you're in, because the wealthy people could get to it. My affirmation this morning. I can read my affirmation this morning. Kim, grab and go on Mahogany Street. Thanks for my tea this morning. I tell you no. Nothing like when you just get love from the community. I tell you no. Nothing could sweet me. Like when I get genuine, authentic love from the community. So I don't eat the yellow for the egg. I don't eat the yolk. Unlike the white part. And I like when people like Kim spile me. I fry my egg with only the egg white. 2 jar of cake, cup of coffee. I know something we do regularly. I'm going to tell Pa Cliff and Christy just now, I had to pair up myself this season. When I tell her that I eat pear, I don't think I eat so much pear in my life. Every meal when I choose to eat pear, and usually once a day I eat pear. That the whole pear I eat per meal. So I have 2 jar of cake, pear, boiled egg without the yolk, and I move away from store-bought morning drinks. So right now, I'm what is it? Guava leaf, sage, and fever grass, especially in the rainy season. Yes. So, affirmation this morning. Stay genuine. Everything will naturally reciprocate or remove itself. It will naturally reciprocate or remove itself. The phone number is 280-5848. We'll have a Zoom guest at 8 o'clock. So now go ahead and call, share whatever I want to share. I want to give thanks to the number of Belizeans who text me primarily to say how much they appreciated the conversation yesterday with Roberta Darius Figuera from the Twin Islands of Trinidad and Tobago. I tell you now, I bring my book, right? Belizeans, I recommend you go buy this book. You have to add it per line. It's 136 pages, but when I tell you, it's worth reading. It's worth reading. Brother Darius make one excellent suggestion, not that other people never make it before, but we, especially the adult Belizeans, young adults, those who are able to read and have reading comprehension, have one duty for study, for learn, for gain knowledge. Morning, thank you for calling this morning from WUB. Talk to me.
Yeah, is this YaYa?
Yes, it is.
Good morning.
Morning.
There's no volume on your phone.
You know
on the TV.
You don't hear no volume on the TV?
No volume on the TV.
Okay. Technical director, they want to take care, right? Thank you for calling and tell me that no volume on the TV.
My good friend. This is the boy from Tourist Village.
All right, brother. Okay, they're not we then. They're not we that the weather. They tell we good. I
didn't like listen there. That's why when I see out by Tourist Village, you patrol up and down the side, Kung kumplata yung tayo kayo.
Yes, brother. Thanks for the solidarity.
All right, sister.
And for the call. One love.
Is that all it is there?
Thanks, brother.
All right.
Appreciate you. So I tell about my people, and I call and tell you when things not good, when things good. That's nothing like a thriving community. Things have changed. Let's say our father grew up in the 50s. In by 1940, so by 1950 he was 10. He graduated, I think, when he, you remember how 58 maybe, from SJC. So depending on people born that Belize, they have different realities. So the 70s, them like glory days for me, because I born 66. So by 1976, I'm done 10. So the 70s are glory days, and I just have good memories of living in a healthy community, primarily in Southside Belize City before our family built a home on the north side. And I miss those days. I do. And I don't know what young people of this generation want to say about for them days, like when they age, what it is that they would have missed. So like Brother Darius said yesterday, like what legacy will we leave for our children? As tough as it was coming out of enslavement for African people, ancestresses and ancestors, and as tough as it was for indigenous people, and there were some indigenous people who were enslaved in Belize as well. They were from the Mosquito Shore, and they were mixed with black people, and so they, you know, one of the ways they would know, say, you could be enslaved because of how you look, the color of your skin, the texture of your hair, your facial features. So most people of Belize could trace their ancestry to indigenous and African people. The majority of people were born in Belize. So I encourage Belizeans to purchase this book. It's called Belize, Human Smuggling, Transnational Organized Crime, Politicians and Public Servants. And we would often complain about crime in Belize. But the crime that we experience on the ground, they're like the lowest hanging fruit. When you read this book, for example, and you listen to that conversation we had with Brother Darius yesterday, you go to the root of what happened in the Caribbean and why it happened, and what you can take for change it, if we left one different legacy for our children, grandchildren, and our unborn children. So Belizeans, we have one duty for study together. The phone number is 280-5848. And like I tell you, no, not tell me I bring my book. You see what happened? I would have packed the bag downstairs. I stay in my sister's home. It's a 2-story home. I would have packed the bag downstairs, and then I said, I'm ready for work the morning. But then I want to read one of the books. They were in the bag, and I take out the book, carry it upstairs. I'll leave it in by my bed. So the book where I want to read, I don't have. But I have one, not a book for them, because Belizeans seem to appreciate hearing about Belize. There's a particular, and we have to ask ourselves, right? Why is it that there's a singular narrative when it comes to this country? Who decided that this that is story where we want to tell Belizean people about how this country came to be and how the people came to be, and we want to big up one certain person or people or family, and that is story where we're going with, and not leave space for the other stories. Who decide for that? Who benefit from it? So there's a book called Belize New Vision, African and Maya Civilizations, The Heritage of a New Nation. It so happened that this book was written by Aondofit Joseph Ernest Eo, Froila Salam, the now Governor General of the country, and Howard Francis Humphreys. One of the things where, a lot of things in the book I like, a lot of things, but one of the things where that always of interest to me, and I don't know if I said this to you before, that timeline. Like timeline, very important for me. I think that 1492, Christopher Columbus, the Spaniard, with the blessings of the Roman Catholic Church and a crew, I think there was an African person with him. So then discover this space, right? What we call the Caribbean, the New World, the Americas. And I read something once that said, the Creator made me African, Columbus made me whatever nationality you are in the global south, for example. And if I were to ask people, just give me a quick rundown, like how Belize came to be. I think what number of people would have mentioned the 10th of September, the 21st of September, because those days are like, you remember them days. If you ask them what happened before that, they can't tell you much. And you have to ask yourself why. So one of the things where I find interesting, that's a thing interesting to me, but one of the things then where I find interesting is that before, remember the Battle of St. George's Key was September the 3rd to the 10th, 1798. The 3rd to the 10th, 1798. And what I may find interesting, where the top about before 1798, so this is before the Battle of St. George's Key. All what happened before 1798, that is place what we know as Belize. And I feel that if Belizean people may genuinely, if they may teach with this information, this knowledge, and we may get it not as just information for pass one test, but if we may really get it for connect it to the life we they live, when people may get asked if they want to vote for go to the ICJ, I feel that more people may want to say no. But that truly from lack of knowledge and because of the influence of politicians, and that's why I recommend on to buy this book, Belize, Human Smuggling, Transnational Organized Crime, Politicians and Public Servants by Darius Figueira. The beauty of it is you can read the first chapter for free online. And once you read the first chapter, you're more likely hooked and I want to buy this book. So looking at Belize New Vision, the first date when I have the 1695. And it said in 1695, the governor of Yucatan, woman named Don Martin de Ursua, sent one Captain Francisco de Ariza to remove the enemy pirates at the site of Cocinas, that's what they call St. George's Key. Because they say how the pirates at the site of Cocina may infest the waters. Captain Ariza carried out the instruction and so key Cocina that made the target at the first Spanish invasion of Belize. 1695. The first Spanish invasion of Belize. So, you know how I go. I usually do this when I read. So the Battle of St. George's Key, that was 1798. The first Spanish invasion of Belize, that was 1695. So that's 103 years before the Battle of St. George's Key. 103 years. So that's one date. It said that how the Spaniards drive with the baymen, but they never occupy what we now know as St. George's Key. And that's one of the things we read consistently, that the Spaniards would drive away the British, but then go about their business, and then the British then come back and squat. So what we talk about squatters, the British that made the first set was squat, that what we now know as Belize. The Spaniards, are squatters too, because indigenous people may depend this territory, and I read something, it might be the Black Middle. I don't know when I host WB again, I have to bring it back. So that's another thing, one thing you have to read one thing in one book and then you go to another book and find something else. And I want to know, say, Southside Belize City that my heart, because the ground zero for African people racialized as black people. And I think they're in the Black Middle, I forget what the author name, but that book one I should have read too. That was the only book I ever, not the only book I ever excited give me, but that one there so about African people in the Yucatan area. And the details is just unreal, especially as related to African from Belize, that space there. But I think that in that book it said that indigenous people never occupied the space that became Belize town. Indigenous people were in some locations in this country that we now know as Belize, but outside Belize City, they never one of them. That I'm a ground zero for African people racialized as black people. So 103 years before the Battle of St. George's Key, September 3rd, 1798, they had the first Spanish invasion of what we now know as Belize. So he said the Spaniards drive away the baymen, the Spaniards never stay, and as soon as the Spaniards left, the baymen returned. Now in this book, they have a timeline. So the first date where they have the Key Casina invaded, they have 1695. Then the next date where they have the an overland attack from Guatemala, 1718 at the second date they have. Morning, let the people's voice be heard. Please lower whatever they listen to in the background for me. Turn down the volume for your radio or TV, please.
That's all right now.
Morning, thanks. Talk to him, morning.
Okay.
Talk to him. I still hear myself in the background.
I think the lagoon cutters, they don't own them before that Spaniard invasion.
Okay, I could still hear myself in the background, so I need you to turn off whatever they listen to so that I could hear you without any distraction. Okay, good. That better. I could definitely hear a difference. So what I said to you is, I hear what you to say, but if you could think something, or you could feel something, or you could believe something, and this is the part us having knowledge matter. So I'd ask you, what evidence you have that where you think different from what I share? What evidence you have about people that cut lagod before that? What evidence you have? I know you say you think it, but you got anything to prove it? The person gone and we think it's still there. Okay, call back. So yeah, that's how he listed in this book. But then when I read other books and then I find one additional date when not in this book, then I write it in. So I write it in this book. I have 1699. England had declared that the Honduras settlement was not part of the British Empire. That in 1699, that England declared that the Honduras settlement was not part of the British Empire. So, because if we subtract 1798 if you subtract 1699 from 1788, that was 99 years before the Battle of St. George's Key, that England declared that the Honduras settlement was not part of British Empire. Now, for we want to know this information, and for the attorneys from both sides with the front of the ICJ, they are the kind of details plus one whole lot that we don't know about, what they have access to. But again, because we don't have the knowledge, a lot of Belizeans gone and vote that we should make the ICJ determine the territorial disputes that Guatemala have against Belize. The next date is an overland attack from Guatemala in 1718. A military expedition from Guatemala failed to remove the settlers who put up one strong resistance. That in 1718. So now we use the timeline of the Battle of St. George's Key. 1718 subtract from 1798 at the 80 years before the Battle of St. George's Key. So that 3 dates I don't share with on the safari. 715. In 1730, retreat to Mosquita. The governor of Yucatan, Antonio de Figueroa y Silva, had a surprise overland attack. The Europeans, they were there, I never expected. The settlers, and they call them settlers, or we just say squatters, because they just come, sit down on the land. The settlers expect the assault to come from the sea. So huts and ships transporting part of the tinta, which the one would get burned up. So they had huts and they had ships to transport this timber. Some of the baymen get captured. The Spaniards into this. The one that were managed to escape, gone the Black River, upon they had a British settlement, that they upon the Mosquito Shore, between the coast of Spanish Honduras and Nicaragua. So this one happened in 1730. 1730. So here we go, 1798 minus 1730, 68 years before the Battle of St. George's Key. Before. These are two set of squatters, colonizers, European, Spaniards and European. I mean Spaniards and it can be British, it can be Irish. The different ethnicity are European coming from Britain. So that's 1730. It said Figueroa y Silva died of fever before a plan to occupy the Honduras settlement may get carried out. And then the settlers returned from Black River. So they went on a runway when in 1730, they come back. Bapa they made it before. Then the next date I have, oh wait, I missed out one date. Between 1699 and 1730, I have one date as 1718 as a probable date for enslaved Africans in Belize. 1718 as the probable date of enslaved Africans in Belize. So if you subtract again, if you subtract 1718 from 1798, that 80 years before the Battle of St. George's Key, that the most likely date when enslaved Africans were brought to Belize. In a probable date, 1718. Then after the 1730 retreat to Mosquito, I have written here 1770, the rise of King Mahogany. And then in 1774, I can't understand this handwriting. I mean, not in 1774, in 1771, I can't understand my handwriting. I got something written here. Caller, thanks for calling. Talk to me.
Do you have a date?
Do I have a what?
When the lagoon cutters first bought lagoon from Spain in this region? Do you have that date?
No, I don't. Do you have it? You can share it with me. I don't have it. You have it? Caller? Caller? Brother, why not answer me? Okay, brother gone. You see, it's good for us to have these reasoning publicly. If I don't know something, I don't have no problem saying I don't know it, because the more I learn, the more I realize I don't know. And I read a lot and I can't remember everything when I read. So if he asks me for a date right now, just offhand, I can't give it to you. I could go look for the date and call in the week next week and say, brother, I find the date, this is the date. And so I just say, if the caller don't know the date either, then you don't know. If you don't know, you don't know. Just like me, you don't know, and most of it wouldn't know. So I don't know if that means the caller will call first and say that they think that the British logwood cutters were here before the Spaniards. And I just say, you could think something, but do you have the evidence of it? I don't know if that the same person called back. And then if that the same person called back, when the person called back, the person asked me the question. And I just said, no, I don't got the answer. Do you have the answer? And then the person stayed on the line, leave it, and then they gone. So I just said, I'm going to play an answer. This is an opportunity for we learn more about Belize. And you have a lot of people who know differently than me and better than me. But until you engage me, I don't know. And I have to learn. And once I learn something, I'm more than willing and happy to share it. Because I feel good when I learn, and so I think other people will feel good when they learn too. Then we have St. George's Key, 1779. Remember the Battle of St. George's Key, that's September 3rd to the 10th, 1798. It's saying that June 1779, Spain entered the American War of Independence against England. A part of Spain's war plan to seize the Honduras settlement. So what we now know as Belize was considered the Honduras settlement. And in a Spain war plan to seize this settlement. On instructions from the governor of Yucatan, the commandant of Bacalar do a surprise naval assault with 19 ships. This is 1779. I hope you pay attention good to them dates, my people. So remember, the Battle of St. George's Key, that's 1798. And this where I share with you right now happened in 1779. This the 19 years before the Battle of St. George's Key. Here what happened? When the Spaniards did a surprise attack, they captured 140 baymen, these are European settlers, along with 250 of their enslaved people. 1779. I don't know when I'll host WV again, but I have to make one note to bring me a book. One book where I have say that this might have been, at the time when this incident happened, the largest escape of enslaved Africans. Because they say one lot of the enslaved Africans were upriver. And one time they attack, I don't know if the attack was, I would think it was, I'm not sure exactly where this attack was. Like I said, it says St. George's Key. It was at St. George's Key. So when they attacked St. George's Key, most of the enslaved people let me upriver. And they said how they escaped. That was one story say. Another story say that it was in the Black Middle, that one number of them people made it to Mexico, and some of them were placed in enslavement again. So that would just get different perspectives and then try to figure out what you think could have happened. Morning, talk to me.
Morning, sister.
Morning, brother. Where say?
I still when you're going to hospital and your dad.
Where say?
I said this is the drummer. I always greet you and your dad when you come to hospital because I work in the hospital.
Morning, brother, from hospital. We always greet me and our dad. Yes, brother. So I love people.
Yeah, but I love people. That's a very important topic, but what more important is we barely hear you because like one time you come on, you go low, but this promotion go high. So my device is all out right now, and because of the rate, I barely hear service because the level to height the volume some more.
Okay, turn up the volume. More clearly. And then I could talk louder. Thanks, people. Thanks, my brother. I value, I appreciate you. Stay dry.
Yes.
One love. All right. Technical director, please turn up the volume. You know, I have to talk to myself, make I talk loud. But just tell me, most like said, so we have a mic here. You don't need to talk loud. The mic will amplify your voice. My brother say, I can't hear you. I don't want deafening, but I have to talk louder because my brother from hospital say he can't hear me. I want to hear me. Yes, so the Spaniards captured 140 baymen, the European people. That's why I'm like, when the people talk about Queen of the Bay, not go ahead again. No, they can tell you all kind of thing, you know. But the truth is that oftentimes they don't know the story. So baymen, the European people for sure. Baymen, the European people. So then back where 140 along with 250 enslaved people. The Spanish ship transport the captives, the 140 and the 250 were like 390 people. I write it in the book, that's why I know. Are carrying a Bacalar. And then they marched them overland to Merida, then to Campeche, and from there, then carried them to the dungeons of Havana, Cuba. One lot of them dead from hunger and exhaustion before reaching Havana. So this is in 1779, surprise attack upon the Kikaka. The Spaniards captured 140 European, known as baymen, along with 250 enslaved African. The Spanish ship then carried the Bacalar first, marched them overland to Merida, second, then to Campeche, third, and then in a dungeons, the Havana, Cuba. One lot of them dead from hunger and exhaustion before they reach Havana. All the buildings that St. George's Key did get destroyed. as well as the Lagod Works and provision grounds on the mainland. So that would I don't know if the mainland won't be what we know as Belize Tongue or the upriver. It could be upriver because I don't think no Mahagani with that Belize Tongue. So I was say logically it got upriver. So that's why the people they run we African ancestors and the European people they must hear it and they call and then get away. And then so all the buildings at Kikaka get the St. George's Key get destroyed, as well as the Lagod Works, provision grounds on the mainland. Now that happened in 1779. Wanna work with me now, right? That's 1779. I have to do this subtraction here right now for check this out now. This is one of the big reveal for me. In 1782. Remember now, then carried in 1779, 79, 80, 81, 82. So about 3 years later, some of the prisoners, when they had the Havana, Cuba, they released them and sent them to Jamaica. And then 2 British warships recaptured St. George's Key soon after the Spanish invasion. So when I know soon after would I be still in 1779, I would think, because they're in June 1779. No, sorry. Not June. They don't give the month. They're in 1779 that St. George's Key get captured. But it says soon after they get captured, the Honduras settlement, the 2 British warships captured St. George's Key soon after the Spanish invasion. This is the part that almost 7:30. The Honduras settlement remained abandoned for over 4 years until 1784 when the settlers start returning. Can you imagine that? All of we there, majority of Belizeans, a lot of people down dead, buried, more picnic band. How much do we know that for over 4 years, the Honduras settlement was abandoned? Abandoned. And this is before the Battle of St. George's Key. The Battle of St. George's Key, that's 1798. This happened between 1779 and 1784. How come we don't know that? How come later we don't know that? Why they not tell you anything? Who benefit from they not tell you anything? I tell you, knowledge is power, especially when you could use the knowledge in your best interest. The next date what I have, that's 1783, which that the Treaty of Versailles was specified the boundaries of the Honduras settlement. 1783. It said from 1784 onward, the central area occupation shifted from St. George's Key to the settlement on the banks of the Halova Creek. Halova Creek, that creek where, if you cross over where I call the Ivo Akan Bridge, Colonial named the Halova Bridge. If they left from Belize to go in a Ladyville, you look on the left, especially I call the old bridge in the day, it overgrown, but that other part, there's a creek coming from, running off of the Belize River, and that the one creek, that they call it the Halova Creek. No, I think we should have called it the Ivo Akan Creek too, because that they were run under Belcan Bridge, were run under the bridge by Bell China, were run under Swing Bridge. That one creek, all right? So today you near Ivo Akan Creek, because if you near Ivo Akan Bridge, you have to near Ivo Akan Creek. That Ivo Akan Creek then. And then, so they move it to that location, and then the first public meeting then called upon the 12th of June, 1784. Now you see that? That's 7:30, I'll have to wrap up. This is how I say, this is how my people and talk. There are the things that will get me excited, right? We in 2025 and June, and the first public meeting was held 241 years ago this month. 241 years ago, they had the first public meeting, what they may then know as the Honduras settlement. And that took place at the mouth of the Belize River. So anytime when you're going over the Ivo Akan Bridge, and you look to the right, going from Belize City to Ladyville, you can see the mouth of the Belize River were empty into the Caribbean Sea. So that was part they had the first public meeting. After that, they had quarterly courts what take place at the Belize River mouth. That was part they had the court One courthouse got built in 1787. Look how you find out thing now. The first courthouse that Belize. We know you know that. Get built 1787. 238 years ago, the first courthouse at the mouth of the Belize River. St. George's Key functioned as the first capital of the settlement. St. George's Key functioned as the first capital of the settlement over. Yet the key would be the scene of the last and most significant military confrontation of the 18th century, which would be the Battle of St. George's Key, 1798. So I carry this morning from Key Casina invaded 1695 to 1783 to 1787. That ain't on a history lesson for right now. It's 7:32-ish. It's 2 cents come time, and it's been brought to us by Fort Point Security.
All right, you're watching WUB. This is XTV. Big up to 4 Point Security. All right, our sponsors, and Big Up Friday. All right, look, we find out the people in Big Up for the summer. Big Up Friday, right?
Big Up Friday.
Which is tomorrow, right?
Okay.
Who do you want to big up?
Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ.
That you're Big Up.
That's my big up.
All right. Big Up Friday, who you want Big Up? You can big up the program, anybody you want Big Up.
I want to big up God. I want to big up God for all He's done for us and for all the dots that He has connected to get us here today.
All right.
Yes.
Easy as that. Big Up Friday, who you want Big Up?
Hey, I just want to thank everybody that came together for this, to honor the Lord, to honor these kids. These kids need loving, and I'm just appreciative of how people came together to show the love of Christ.
All right, easy as that.
Big up Friday, thank you for this opportunity. I'd like to big up Mr. Stamp for the job.
All right.
Community that Judge Peter West Street for the good work that happened. Everybody could come in by any corner, and we there right there. I had a coach for the football team right now.
All right.
And we like between ages 8 to 15.
I don't have any program this summer?
Yeah, well, right now if I say what happened that we start the summer right now.
Okay, yeah.
You notice that we one of the branch shapes, and notice we have 2 branch schools.
Yeah.
Once we have schools, we have kids, so we try to show that we start out this year 2025 as the #1 crew for the summer. So
all right.
Everybody else after we. So anyway, everybody enjoy the summer. Go
all right. Who you want big up? Let's big up. Big up the yeah. That's it. Easy as that.
Thank God for that. In the name of Jesus, and I call support you. God support me, and I call support you. Thank God. Thank Jesus.
All right. All right. So big up Friday with Vince Prince. We'll take you out with a special big up.
Big up Friday always, big up Brick City, big up Days of Healing Sticks, big up Timmy Stamps, the church group and everything. Got reviews our song, what they call on here. Cause only you know my pain, only you know my story, running through my brain. The best I keep on hoping, Belize, just hold on, be strong, even when the skies keep crashing down. Vince the Prince, big up yourself, big.
In 2024, the Belizean Diaspora took over Los Angeles with the first ever Belize Diaspora Summit, and you know the only thing that could be ever better than that is to do it again. Belize Diaspora Summit 2.0. This time it takes place in the state of Florida, Fort Lauderdale Forward Convention Center, July 10th, the 11th, the 12th. Belizeans from the diaspora, Belizeans from home in Belize, join together. Let's do it again. 3 days, government services, clinics, business displays, kitty corner, pop-up trivias, panel discussions. There will be highlights for business mixers. There will be a live performance of Racindio. Destiny Wadney is going to be there. There's going to be a live performance of Makobi. And you will have Immigration and Civil Rights Town Hall. Special guest Kenneth Gibson, interview and book reading. There will be a wind-up reception, rhythms and rum. It's happening, Belize Diaspora 2.0, Florida, Fort Lauderdale, Powell Convention Center. Don't miss it.
Whether the job is big or small, every super handy dad needs the right tools. And at Brothers Habet and Habet, we have what you need. Enjoy super savings all June, like 15% off all power tools and hand tools, 25% off track car batteries, Eureka Vats, and Pisaforte towels, 25% off Penta Decon and discontinued colors, 30% off Valspar, and 40% off Dutch Boy paints. Plus, we're giving away $200 to 6 lucky super handy dads. Every $50 you spend gets you a chance to win. So this year, give Dad his best gift yet from Brothers Habet and Habet. Come in or reach out today. Happy Father's Day to all super handy dads.
At Atlantic Bank, we stand as more than just a financial institution. We are your partners in progress, dedicated to fostering your success by providing tailored solutions to micro, small, and medium enterprises. Your successes are our triumphs, and every success story deserves to be celebrated. We pledge to stand by you every step of the way. Today, we celebrate the values that define you with your unwavering dedication, steadfast commitment, boundless innovation, resolute work ethic, and unyielding ambition. We will navigate challenges, seize opportunities, and continue building the future together.
Imagine getting rewards for your spending. Smart prepaid customers countrywide, it's time to level up with Smart Gains. Smart Gains are exclusive, limited time offers sent straight to your phone. We're talking irresistible rewards. You'll actually want extra credit, bonus data, and exclusive perks, all tailored to you. Because it's smart, we've always got your back. Don't miss out on rewards made just for you. Smart Gains, smart savings, smart you. Smart, bringing people together.
Of appliances that just don't last, appliances that just can't keep up? It's time for a change. GE Appliances delivers reliability, innovation, and performance you can trust. The decision is easy. Don't settle for less. Choose quality, choose reliability, choose GE. Paid for by homeowners who demand better appliances.
World shifts to regional supply chains, Belize is poised to lead. This is where blue innovation meets green ambition, and orange creativity thrives. Join us for the Belize Investment Summit 2025, September 3rd to 5th at the Sunset Caribe in San Pedro. From agribusiness to aquaculture, from renewable energy to digital services, from tourism to trade, this is the future of regional integration. And it starts here. Whether you're returning home, expanding regionally, or entering new markets, Belize welcomes you. Why Belize? Why now? Belize Investment Summit 2025. Bridging markets, building resilience. September 3rd to 5th at Sunset Caribe, San Pedro. Visit investmentsummit.bz to register and be part of shaping the investment frontier.
And number is 280-5848. And I could call in and we could cascas. So, Christy, could show them a book for me, please? Belize New Vision, African and Maya Civilizations, the Heritage of a New Nation. And they have a brother right from a Mandela Drive where Bond Books has I tied out the book. And so this is one of the few books where I got bonded. And so yeah, definitely one of my sacred texts. You know, I might want to check with the Institute of Social. I never said them people near right. Make a looking at this book because it's the National Institute of Culture and History, NICH, and particularly the Institute for Social and Cultural Research, ISCR. I might want to contact them if anybody have one interest in this book. They may have a copy or two available, Belize New Vision. Christy, show them the timeline for me to please. Where I'm going to read for, no? Frankie Casina invaded in 1698. All the way through to June 1787 when they had the first courthouse built. All right. I'm not calling a straight history, our story. I don't like to say his story. His story is our story. That's straight our story time. So I have with me again a walk through old Belize. Yes. Make I see what would be of interest to, you know. Today, in our walk through old Belize. Oh, make we talk about. When I talk about what part used to be called Paslo Building. What part, this is at the corner Queen Street and Northfront Street. There was a building there, 3-story building, old colonial building, named after a European colonizer, enslaver, murderer, dirty. But the name was fall in the Kaya district after a wife. She was a mixture of a black and a white parent. Clarissa. Clarissa Falls is named after Clarissa Paslow, who this man, woman, wife. So he said the central location of Paslow building, it catch fire some years ago. Christy Michael could find it. There are the kind of Queen and Northfront Street, just across from Spring Bridge. And I'm a hub for social gathering, friends and acquaintances, young and old meet there, for exchange the latest in local, national, and international news. I could sit at post office. To me, it had a whole smell to it. There you go. So you see a part and got into, like, on the left of the screen, at the building. There were part of post office box and it was there, and unsheltered people that sleep there. It was take your post office box. And when you go in on the first floor, that the post office. So you go there, go mail, then you just have some. Remember, clip some blue paper where you could write on the paper, unfold it, and put your stamp and mail it. Then you letter from state, thing from state. Once you hear that postman go ting-a-ling-a-ling, you get that letter, you hold it up to the light for safe. If you feel one like silver foil, that means money in it, US money in it, thing good. And then when you go up on the, I don't remember because when I went to Belize Belize Technical College, 1984 to 1986, I don't know how the heck I find myself up there, step the Pastor building. And I think that on the second floor they had the courthouse. I don't remember the second floor, third floor they had courthouse. But somehow I stumbled upon the courthouse and I fell in love with the courthouse. I mean, I go in there and listen to case and I was just wowed. I really fascinated at that time. And then I saw I must say what? I must say 20. And then I think the other floor had government offices. So that's the old Paslow building we had to talk about today. It said the 9th of September 1920, the foundation stone for the Belize stores was laid. What the Belize stores mean? So if we talk, it's now we're in 20. You could call at any time, talk about anything you want to talk about Belizean people. So 105 years ago, the foundation stone for the Belize stores was laid. If anybody know part of Belize stores, they call away. The Jefferson Construction Company of New Orleans, Louisiana, was hired for a private contract to erect the first 3-story building in the colony. So Pastor building them the first 3-story building in the colony. When the Belize stores eventually closed down, the colonial government, now it makes sense. So the Belize stores that the location where the Pastor building is, and the foundation for the building, the Belize stores, 105 years ago. And then when the Belize stores closed down, the colonial government purchased the structure. I rename it after Thomas Pastor. Here how they put it now. And this is a way I got issue with the people at ISCRNH. They have the knowledge, they have the evidence, they know Thomas Pastor is a dirty European man, murderer. Put it there. Won't not hide it for here what they say about the man. Thomas Paslow, a 19th century bayman, was featured prominently in the Battle of St. George's Key. You see what I tell you about who writes your story matter? It matter who writes your story, how they tell your story. Either the first to declare. I have one bias for African people racialized as black people. I try my best to be objective, but when they go through the pages and I listen to documentary, I look for African people racialized as black people. They're not my priority. They're not the people where I come from, where birthed me, where nursed me, where disciplined me, where loved me, where want to bury me. They're not my people. So I tell you no, as human beings you have biases, and I declare my bias unapologetically. Black people first, black people second, and black people third. Well, the creator first, ancestors second, ancestresses. Then black people. If anybody for sell me out or harm me, yeah, be black because I want to get the benefit of the doubt every single time. Then there are people good, bad, or indifferent. That's why when I come to Belize, all I want to know is the positive fence there. As for the little I hear about this black man, they say crazy and they say smart. And they like black people. That was ever excited. That's why I find myself as zinc. And with all the challenges, trust and believe they got challenges with me. And I have with them. And I get lot of enticement for left from back here. I'm not going nowhere. Zinc fence people, me. Anyways, it said this well-known building of the past functioned as a command center of the military battalion during World War II. I never knew that the building of the past, this well-known building of the past functioned as the command center of the military battalion during World War II. And then it said Paslow Building was best known as the headquarters of the General Post Office with the main services and post office boxes offered on the lower flat. It also housed the municipal and magistrates courts, as well as several other government departments. Though the building was destroyed by fire in 2002, Krista, see if I could find a picture of Paslow Building on fire in 2002. Many Belizeans still remember it fondly as a beautiful and significant structure of Belize's history. So there you go. Technical director Christy Flowers for me. Here is that money shot. I wonder who took that picture. That's definitely the money shot. And that it remind me. And if you remember my story, I just remember because I said it the just now. Christy, see if I can find a story. One former co-host of Sunday Review, Belinda, stalwart PUP, me get one contract from Belize City Council for fix the 2 pedestrian sides at the bridge. Now, going from Albert Street to Queen Street, it fixed the left side of the bridge. And for years, the right side of the bridge never fixed. Now, the bridge, all parts of the bridge, the rotten way. I don't know that this year I noticed that the right side of the bridge now get paved, like you know one time in the tar street. Yeah, in fact, I sure I take one picture. I just have to find the picture. I sure I take one picture of it. Because more one time I cross over the bridge and I see it and I say, you know what? Make I take a picture of this bridge for sure, Belizean people, that the bridge finally get fixed. Now, where the picture there? I never know I may bring up this conversation this morning. That this just so fine? With no, not that. Anyways, I want to find it before I come off of the air today. And I show you the picture of the bridge where now it looked like then just like that street. They make the pedestrian side of the bridge street now. I shall be going on the other side and take a picture of the other side so you can see the difference between the two parts of the bridge. Yeah, when you want to find something, you can't find it. Anyways, make us see if they have anything, but there you go. I tell you, make us see what side of the bridge that? Which side of the bridge? Okay, that is side where Belinda fixed. That is side where he fixed. I don't know how good you could see it. And then you have the other side, whenever fixed for long. But I look for see if they have, if one of the places, oh, I show me take this picture. I want to send, oh, yeah. Definitely want to have this, make her take this picture quickly while Kirsty have that on the screen. And then I want to send this picture to Kirsty. I mean, Kirsty now. Kirsty has to hold the call your daughter, All right, good. So, I'm going to call in people, 280-5848. At 8 o'clock, we're going to take one break. And we're going to get ready for our guest. Our guest is Brother Akamotota, who is our co-host on Sunday Review. Fire, brother. Good, brother. One of my new brother there. But definitely one real person, knowledgeable. Was active in the Black Power movement in Trinidad and Tobago. Brother Akko want command this morning when I talk about non-governmental organizations known as NGOs. Non-governmental organizations. So I go call on the people because this is our segment and I want to listen to it when I don't tune in for 6:30. So I send Christy the pictures and it show a plan of Belize tongue redrawn from the Honduras Almanac of 1829. It's redrawn and it's from the Honduras Almanac of 1829. Now what's interesting about this map, it shows the public hospital that would be on Eve Street. Now, you can see that one that we have on the screen. Left it there, Christy, say, plan drawn for a Crown survey in 1841. Morning, talk to me. Yes, you could call in anything you want to say. So you want to tell me.
Morning, sister.
Morning, you dry?
I have a 6 baby just like you, YaYa. And I just want to make you know that all the area around the talk about that if we playground or if we stamping ground. Starting with, I don't know if you remember the rice mill where part the tourist village there now, that used to be one of we playground, one of we favorite playground. Because we used to go back rice trash and then after we back rice trash, you dirty rice trash in your head, and then you go and you jump off of the bridge, Fort George Bridge, and you swim. We used to go up that barracks, and so we not a favorite spot that my crazy house, because we just love to go to the fence and interact with the, well, back then we don't say crazy people. You know, there was a lot of places, like for instance, the fire station. The fire station is one of our favorite playground too. Because as soon as that engine ring, all the picnic they find in the area run down the street. Would you believe we used to chase the fire pump till they reach the fire? No care how far me there. Yes, if you not jump back at the fire station, you just run behind it when you look the fire pump going and so much the picnic there behind the fire. But then there are like safe places for us to play. And then we had another place where we used to call for we farm, where we used to call Capinta Farm, right there front of Memorial. That's the way we could have go and get all the mango, the coconut, nobody would hurt you. I mean, that area was such a beautiful and nice place, Fort George area, Barrack Road, Daly Street, all of them in a free stamping ground. So, I just be pushing my little 2 cents and yeah.
I really appreciate it.
And a lot of kids don't know how fun it was growing up to see it. And now so much things just change up big building, but all of that I have in my mind. I might have pictures, but I have memories, good memories of growing up in those areas. Good morning, Belize.
I really appreciate your call and share the moments with Sister Julia. I do. Sister Julia grew up through Majestic Alley. And as I talk, I could just visualize it. Of course, I never know the children was chased behind the fire truck. to be part of the fire. See what happened when you don't got TV and internet? You become actively engaged as children with one another. You get sweaty, you run boat, you have real life experiences, you learn to swim. Oh my gosh. Good times. Good. Thanks for calling and sharing their moments with us. Big thanks. About 4 minutes to 8. And so, yes, the first image where Christy had up, it said that a plan drawn from a Crown survey in 1841, and all major landmarks such as the courthouse, government house, and public hospital are not indicated. Notice the location of the island of Fort George. So if you look to the far right of that image, the part they have the island of Fort George. And you see that this is from the Belize Archives and Record Service. Now when you go back to the next image, and it said it's a plan of Belize town withdrawn from the Honduras Almanac of 1829. They have the public hospital, which will be the old hospital on East Street. They have the Baptist Church, where part would be the Queen Street Baptist Church, where get burnt down. They already had North Front Street. They had Pickstock Street. They had Hydes Lane. They had something lane. I don't know what lane that. But that would just point out the whole long the layout of this at the time was plan of Belize town. And we need to know the story so that would be north side. You cross Ibo Akan Creek, even though on this map it said Belize River mouth, but that's not a river, that's a creek. Anyways, you could see part of the courthouse there. They have a part of government house there. They have part of burial ground there, which will be all the way to the bottom on the left. That would be the Yabra burying ground. They have a part, they have St. John's Cathedral. Now, interestingly, across from St. John's Cathedral, you see one thing going on, they have Albert Street or Albert Street West, which is now a part they have ACC. So, on the left, you have, like if you're going on Albert Street towards Brazil, on the left, you have ACC, the main compound. And on the right, you have ACC again. But that, in my days, that was my first primary school, because we got in a private kindergarten on Wagner's Lane, Miss Hall Kindergarten. Hail up everybody who got in Miss Hall Kindergarten, the bestest teacher ever. Bestest. So a lot of people never go to kindergarten at that time. We talk late 60s. Make I say about 66, 67, 68, 69. We talk like maybe 69, 70. I was like 4 or 5 when I got to kindergarten. Left kindergarten and gone to St. John's Primary School, which is a part ACC compound now, the smaller compound. That was St. John's Primary School. So I got an infant 1, infant 2, standard 1. So I got a story about St. John's Church. At the time we lived on Cemetery Lane across from the burying ground. Southside Belize City Stamping Grounds. So, what part ACC now there, that the part they said they had one free school midday. Then they have Ibo Town, and that's why when they build the bridge, you see when they build the STEM school, then get the STEM school on my name without saying nothing to Belizean people. Ask Belizean people how they feel about it, whether I recommend, none of that never happened. So once I sit there and do that, I jump on it right away when I see the bridge go up, and I right there and tell them the bridge needs to have one African name. Because especially that location geographically, nobody not put in blood, sweat, tears. Their spirits still there, like African people racialized as black people, I believe. I talk long. I have to drink water. I don't mind my business though. And so you had an area when you Igbo tongue, that how much people of that African identity that I believe, as well as Akan people. That what the census show. So that's why I said the bridge should be called the Igbo Akan Bridge. No. Then just start decolonization. It's okay for the name the STEM school on my name. But now when you tell them for name African name, because nobody else not have no right to that bridge, they prefer give it back the colonial name than get that the way I said this administration anti-black. Anti-black. They're not into blackness. That's not evidence right there. They're not into it. And well, as of today, that is not the Igbo Akan Creek. Colonized name, the Halover Creek. So they have Weston. They have a number of the streets there where we know past Southside. They have the jail. They have Bishop Street, Prince Street, and this is all from 1829. Our history lesson done for the morning. It's break time. When we come back, we have Brother Akko Motota from the Twin Islands of Trinidad and Tobago, the co-host of Sunday Review starting in 2025. Break time.
Come to banquet, find your way. Engines roar at the break of day. Volvo outboard surf the waves. Castrol oil is what they crave. Live with power, feel the sound. Heavy machines shake the ground. Riding Honda, feeling proud. Rev it up and shout aloud. Feel the wind against your skins. Now so wide, let's begin. At banquet where dreams ignite. Gear up, but let's take flight. Kohler's power runs our towns. JCB lifts heavy pounds. Find the tools to build your dreams. Banquip's got the best machines. Grip the wheel and never slip. Feel the rush, it's time to trip. Every brand you know and love. Banquip fits you like a glove. Feel the wind against your skins. Now so wide, let's begin. At Banquip where dreams ignite. Gear up, but let's take flight.
Banquip, equipment, parts, service. We represent quality.
Let's take a journey through the core functions of the Social Security Board. It all starts with registering as an insured person, employer, or self-employed individual. Sign up for a portal account to manage your Social Security information online. Just provide accurate information and click Create. This will give you access to a range of services and benefits. Next, your contribution, along with investments and other income, are collected and distributed into 3 funds. This ensures that the SSB fund is securely utilized to support various benefit programs. The SSB is committed to providing essential benefits such as sickness, maternity, injury, and pension. These benefits are paid out to eligible individuals as a part of the Social Security coverage. We help you navigate through life's challenges with financial security. Annual surplus accumulates to grow the fund each year. This surplus is invested into various industries, contributing to the growth and development of our nation. With each passing year, the fund continues to grow due to the annual surplus and interest revenue earned from prudent investments. This surplus, along with reserves, helps to bolster the SSB fund and provide a safety net for those in need. We've arrived at the end of our journey to better understanding how the SSB works. We remain committed to serving you and building a secure future for all Belizeans.
Whether you are a busy person or stuck in traffic or having an adverse or very demanding circumstance, tension builds up, causing you to be stressed out. Stress attacks everyone, anytime, any age. And stress is a killer. Palm City? It's best to be alive than dead. So visit Freetown Drugstore to get options to relieve stress and to relax your mind.
Yes, sir. What can I do for you today?
I'm so stressed out.
Okay, I'm saying help you right now. When I this daily, for 10 days, I am good after that, okay?
Okay.
Freetown Drugstore, 28 Freetown Road, where you are better off alive than dead. Freetown Drugstore, telephone 223-2876.
In 2024, the Belizean Diaspora took over Los Angeles with the first ever Belize Diaspora Summit, and you know the only thing that could be ever better than that is to do it again. Belize Diaspora Summit 2.0. This time it takes place in the state of Florida, Fort Lauderdale Board Convention Center, July 10th, the 11th, the 12th. Belizeans from the diaspora, Belizeans from home in Belize, join together. Let's do it again. 3 days, government services, clinics, business displays, kitty corner, pop-up trivias, panel discussions. There will be highlights for business mixers. There will be live performance. Racindio, Destiny Wagner is going to be there. There's going to be a live performance of Makobi. And you will have Immigration and Civil Rights Town Hall. Special guest Kenneth Gibson, interview and book reading. There will be a wind-up reception, rhythms and rum. It's happening, Belize Diaspora 2.0, Florida, Fort Lauderdale Board Convention Center. Don't miss it.
Let's
all be safe during the rainy season. Belize Electricity Limited reminds you that heavy rains can cause flooding in your neighborhood and on roads. Avoid driving or walking in flooded areas, which can have hidden dangers such as debris and fallen power lines. Belize Electricity Limited cares about your safety. Please stay safe.
Belize Morning Vibes, I have to go back to using my inside voice. I had a whole hour stories, and so now it's time for our guest, Brother Ako Mutota. Morning, Brother Ako. Oh, my brother, I notice you. There you go.
Good to see you again. Good morning to you and to the listening audience, and thanks for inviting me to this program this morning.
You're welcome. We're used to seeing you on Sunday, not a big Friday morning, 8:10 Belize time. How are you being, Brother Ako? It's raining, at least where we are in Southside Belize City, it's raining. How are you being this morning?
I am well. Right now, I am actually in St. Louis, Missouri. I am visiting the U.S., so I am here on some business, so I'm talking to you from St. Louis, Missouri.
Okay, is it a different vibes? Like, what are the vibes of the States right now?
Well, it's different from Atlanta, where I lived previously. I spent some time here before because I lived in Chicago for a while and I would visit.
Mm-hmm.
So the Midwest is different to some extent culturally from the South, you know, and, different behavior, and so on. So it's different, yeah.
Okay, good. Well, this morning we have you because we want to talk about non-governmental organization. So when did non-governmental organization become something where you had an interest in now? How and when it get on your radar?
A long time ago, actually, when they became very prominent in Trinidad and Tobago. And I had a concern about what I considered outside influences in community activity. I first felt it in our community, which is dominated by a number of oil companies. And one of the initiatives of these oil companies was to set up NGOs in the community, which sort of undermined the social fabric of the community and created to some extent a kind of dependency syndrome. Whereas in the past, there were things that we would do as a community, very, very, independent, pool our resources together and collectively act. What started to happen from my observation was that things that we could have done, we no longer did them out of our own initiative, but depended significantly on the multinational corporations in our communities to provide things, that we should have done. And in the end, it undermined, in my opinion, the initiative of the community, the independence of the community, and created a lot of divisions within the community. At a particular point, anything that you pull people together to do, and I had that experience working in one of the communities. We pull, normally if we wanted to do something, we will do fundraisers, get people to make contributions, and so on. And there was a particular community I was working in, and I put this simple thing to them for us to do something. And the first thing they said was, let's go to the oil companies. And I said, why do we have to go to the oil companies to raise something like $500 for transport? Those are things that we've done for years, generations, being self-sufficient, being independent, and being supportive of each other. And so when the oil companies came with that, they brought a culture that created dependency. What I call it, and I refer to it a lot, as a mendicant mentality, in the sense that we beg for everything. I'll give you a clear example. I was born and grew up in a very small rural community called YaYa on the southeast coast of Trinidad. We had no electricity. I did homework and my schoolwork by what was called a pitch or a lamp up until I was 12 years before electricity came to the community. We did not have a community center. We had a hall that was owned by a private individual. And so the young people in the community wanted a space. And those young people I'm referring to would be my uncles and cousins and other people of their age in the 1960s. So I would have been possibly about 8 or 9 years. And so they wanted a space, which they didn't have. And what they did was to create a space, and they named that space Bamboo Inn. And the reason it was called Bamboo Inn is because they went and cut bamboo in the bushes to build the walls. They cut a particular kind of, I don't know what you call it in Belize, but we call it roseau. It's a kind of tree where you use it to build houses and so on. And the roseau, and what they used to mix the sand for the flooring was sea sand and chip shells, which is a shell that comes out of it. And they built this building on their own without any help from any outside force, not even the government. Local business people, they did what in the day we used to call it parcel evenings, raffles, bingos, and people made their own contributions. And they built this thing called Bamboo Inn. And the roof was not galvanized. It was a thatch roof, what we call karat. It's a palm, which I know exists in Belize also. And for years, that became the center of the community. Weddings, I went to several weddings there. They would have all fours events and all kinds of community events. So that is the kind of environment I grew up in which if you wanted something for your community, you mobilize the community and you pool your resources together to get it done. And therefore, everyone felt part of this initiative. And everyone felt that they contributed to this initiative, either directly or indirectly. And so when the NGOs came to our community, mainly through the oil companies, firstly Amoco, then BP, then Repsol, the Spanish company, and several others, when they came to the communities, they brought this thing called the NGO. And immediately the NGOs divided the community because there were those who were higher up on the social pecking order who were immediately identified as the people they want to be in leadership of these organizations. And so on. And at the end of it all, these organizations began to create divisions in the community. They undermined the social fabric of the community. They discouraged what I call general communal mutual support, because now BP could give you $100,000 or $50,000 to do something. And a lot of these people utilize that monies, right? So like in one case, I know one family dominated the formation of the NGO, and they used that money to enrich themselves. And so it created strife and disorder in the community. So my particular experience with NGOs from the beginning was not very good. Now, at a political level, how did these NGOs emerge? Now, these NGOs, I'm moving away from my community now. How did these NGOs emerge? What I would consider the origin of the modern NGO. The modern NGO are what lawyers like to call legal creatures. They were created by law as entities to supposedly do good and encourage charitable endeavors and so on in communities. But the reality of it is that the modern NGO is a creation of U.S. foreign policy. And because we don't read history, we are not understanding the origin of a lot of things that impact us negatively in the Caribbean. The modern NGO, and I refer to the term modern NGO, and some people have defined another term for them, not non-government organizations. They say they are near government organizations. And I think it's a very important thing to denote a non-government organization as against a near government organizations. I'm going to explain to you how that term emerged, which is emerged in Germany, the near government organization. Now, the non-government organization, the NGO, the modern NGO as we know it, was an initiative led by Robert McNamara, who was then the head of the World Bank. Previous to his ascension to being the head of the World Bank, Robert McNamara was the Defense Secretary of the United States and led the war in Vietnam. You understand? And anyone who understands what happened in Vietnam, the U.S. committed brutal acts of aggression against the people of Vietnam in their so-called domino theory, saying that you had to prevent communism from taking root in Southeast Asia and in the world in particular. And they said that if one domino fell, the others would follow. And so this war was waged against Vietnam for a long time. And so Robert McNamara was the defense secretary during that war. After the war, he became the head of the World Bank. And everyone knows what the World Bank has done in the world. There's lent money to African countries and Asian countries and created the debt trap, which they're accusing China of. So what he did as part of his policy at the World Bank was to set up organizations that he felt could pursue objectives and other kinds of projects outside of the state sector. And that is the origin of what we call the modern NGO. Now, there are some who tend to believe that the modern NGO is really independent. There may be some, but there is an important saying that whose bread I eat is whose song I sing. And a lot of the NGOs are funded by outside sources who are not particularly independent. And these sources have agendas that they want to pursue in particular countries. So, for example, one of the major funders of NGOs is Soros Foundation. And Soros, George Soros, who's the founder of that foundation, has an anti-communist bent and is part of the neoliberal dispensation, which is a kind of economic, political, and social philosophy that sees government as a problem and therefore seeks to minimize the influence of government on populations and tend to want to promote this neoliberal agenda as the solution to civilization and to governance. Now, it all emerged out of the Thatcher-Reagan years, and a fundamental aspect of the neoliberal paradigm or agenda is the idea of privatization. That services that the state should provide, and they come to believe to some extent that the state is not particularly effective, and they suggest that these sectors should be privatized by corporations. So like, for example, in the US here, there was a big move to privatize education because it is the last sector of what you may call the social sector of the US that is not more or less privatized. And so they are now moving in a direction to privatize education because they are seeing it as an opportunity to make millions. But what happens with privatizations is that it is very selective. It approaches it. It appears, and its rhetoric is that it provides for everyone. But whenever you have to make a profit, and you see profit as the major incentive of anything, there are going to be people who are left out. And so, in order to supposedly take care of those who have been marginalized, the inventions of the modern NGO comes into place. And so governments tend to utilize these NGOs, so-called NGOs, to perform services that ideally and is the responsibility of the state. And that is what I consider one of the fundamental contradictions of the modern NGO. Relative to their so-called independence, there are many cases in which they have influenced policy. For example, if you look at a very powerful NGO in the US called the Heritage Foundation. The Heritage Foundation created the ideological, social, and intellectual foundation for Ronald Reagan, who, as we know, was one of the most dangerous presidents the United States experienced in terms of his racist policies towards people of color, in terms of his warmongering policies, and in terms of dismantling the states and intervention. He was a man who intervened in Venezuela. And the Heritage Foundation is very much a template for the modern NGO. It creates policy, it influences government, and their role in so many instances is to undermine governments whose policies do not align with US policy. So this is my initial response to your question.
A long answer, Brother Akko, even though it was a comprehensive answer. So I will have to have you beyond 8:30. So we're going to try to keep the answer shorter so we can get as many questions in as possible. We have another 5 minutes before we got a break. So one of the things I want you to focus on is that government have a responsibility to the people of that country. Something happened why government, instead of using the money for the people's interest, you have corruptions and having to pay back loans why they can't provide the social services. So that the part the NGO come in for filling in the gap where part, well, government not able for the social services. One. Two, you make the point how things used to be in your community. So let's say in the 60s, maybe in the 50s, you had active union work. No, you don't have one active union in the for example, in the Caribbean region. That's where the NGO come in. So you don't see any meaningful use of NGOs fulfill the gap where government they fail and fulfill the gap where you don't have active unions anymore?
Well, to say, I am not anti-modernist, and I believe that, as humans evolve, there are needs, or there is the need for adaptability. So there are things that we may not have thought about 30 years ago that, that came into being that are very beneficial. My concern, one of my primary concerns with the modern NGO is that we have had systems of mutual support in the Caribbean, right? So for example, in Belize, you had the Friendly Society, okay? I know it existed in Trinidad too. And what was the Friendly Society? It was it was an organization that lent mutual support to people in times of trouble. If you had financial problems, they would lend you a little bit of money. If your house, got some damage. In my community, a lot of it was for funeral. If you died and you couldn't afford, they will pay your funeral service and support your family and so on. So you had those kinds of mutual aid support, which were in fact people-centered organizations, which emerged from the traditions and culture of the people. So the Friendly Society was one. Then you had in Trinidad, and I don't know if you have it in Belize, but I know in Trinidad and St. Vincent you have it, something called YaYa. And YaYa was a system of support and cooperation in which people help people build homes. If you want to build a road in a difficult place, to build houses. And the YaYa system, from what I understand, emerged from the indigenous population, a term called Kayapi, I think it is, which was, again, collaborative and mutual in support. Then you had things like what we call lend hand, which was similar to the YaYa, lend a hand. Then you had susu, right, in Trinidad, which originated from the Yoruba word esusu, which means, and that has a repetition throughout Africa. And I know in some Caribbean islands they call it box and so on and so forth.
In Belize they call it syndicate.
Right. So we had those kinds of mutual aid organizations and supportive organizations that emerge from our own indigenous traditions. What has happened is that there has always been an attempt, right, to erode our sovereignty. And it begins by tackling and challenging and undermining the legitimacy of your own cultural traditions. It begins with your food, for example, right? So now we moved away from our food, and all we're doing is eating KFC and McDonald's. And so it also permeates our cultural life. And so a significant organization like the YaYa or the Lend Hand or the Susu, these things have been delegitimized. And once these cultural and social vacuums are created, then the people are left to fend for themselves. And where the state should intervene, because the model of organization of the state is modeled around the capitalist model, and a model that does not serve the people, because it was designed to serve foreign entities from the time of our enslavement to the time of colonialism, and now in the era of neo-colonialism. So we are following the dictates and the diktats of foreign entities about how we should run our state. So, for example, if they said in the US we should privatize education, do not be surprised if the governments in the Caribbean follow that lead and start to implement policies to privatize education. And we have a case in Trinidad and Tobago, for example. In 1970, the revolutionary movement fought to nationalize the banks, and the government was forced to respond to that initiative. But they launched what we call the counteroffensive against the population, right? And they promoted American ideas, American culture. You listen to our radio stations, you will swear you're in the US in terms of how even the announcers speak. And what happened with the advent of the neoliberal agenda, the government began to follow US neoliberal policy and denationalize the banks and other sectors of the economy. And this is what they do in the social sector. And so once you create a vacuum, and as the saying goes, nature abhors a vacuum. Once they create a vacuum, which is a social vacuum, then they create a legal entity, or what lawyers call a legal creature, to fill the vacuum that they can determine how it works. And this is how I see the modern NGO in the context of Trinidad and Tobago society and Caribbean society, in that the responsibility, as you said, the responsibility of the state is diminished based on policies they follow, initiatives imagined from outside of our societies, and these initiatives are followed by our politicians and our corporate and civic and social leaders, and then they implement these policies, creating what I call social spaces, creating economic spaces and cultural spaces that are now filled by these entities who are really more like Trojan horses, and we can talk about the concept of Trojan horse later on. So I hope I haven't been too long with this.
Okay, so Arundhati Roy, who is an author among other things, said NGOs are what could be described as an indicator species. The United States, for example, would declare war on someone and then immediately have NGOs ready to go in and assist the people who they created harm to. And Haiti would be one of those countries. I think Haiti may have the most NGOs in the world, if I'm not mistaken. We'll take a quick break and come back, continue our conversation with Brother Ako Mutota, Black Power movement worker all our life, the Trinidad and Tobago, around the world, and the current co-host of Sunday Review and XTV Contents, the only news review talk show in the country, on the only black-owned media in the region. Break time.
In 2024, the Belizean Diaspora took over Los Angeles with the first ever Belize Diaspora Summit, and you know the only thing that could be ever better than that is to do it again. Belize Diaspora Summit 2.0. This time it takes place in the state of Florida, Fort Lauderdale Port Convention Center, July 10th, the 11th, the 12th. Belizeans from the diaspora, Belizeans from home in Belize, join together. Let's do it again. 3 days, government services, clinics, business displays, kitty corner, pop-up trivias, panel discussions. There will be highlights for business mixers. There will be live performance. Vasindio, Destiny Wasney is going to be there. There's going to be a live performance of Makobi. And you will have Immigration and Civil Rights Town Hall. Special guest Kenneth Gibson, interview and book reading. There will be a wind-up reception, rhythms and rum. It's happening, Belize Diaspora 2.0, Florida, Fort Lauderdale Port Convention Center. Don't miss it.
In Belize, we value our families, we value our communities, we value our neighbors. 90% of Belizeans think it's time for laws that protect all of us and reflect society at its best. 94% of Belizeans agree that public spaces in Belize should be more accessible to people living with disabilities. In Belize, we believe in fair treatment and supporting one another. We know that our beautiful country is at its best when we come together for the greater good. 2 out of 3 Belizeans support a new law to prevent discrimination in employment and public spaces. It shouldn't matter where we come from, who we love, or what we look like. Belizeans deserve to live our best lives. It's time for laws that protect all of us and reflect our society at its best. Equal Opportunities Bill. Belize, we're ready.
At Atlantic Bank, we stand as more than just a financial institution. We are your partners in progress, dedicated to fostering your success by providing tailored solutions to micro, small, and medium enterprises. Your successes are our triumphs, and every success story deserves to be celebrated. We pledge to stand by you every step of the way. Today, we celebrate the values that define you with your unwavering dedication, steadfast commitment, boundless innovation, resolute work ethic, and unyielding ambition. We will navigate challenges, seize opportunities, and continue building the future together.
Nando's Wholesale is your market leader in Belize's wholesale industry when it comes to high-quality products at the most reasonable and competitive prices. With over 40 years in the wholesale business, Nando's Wholesale embraces the partnership of the hotel industry in Belize by providing world-renowned brands in wines, seasonings, condiments, and cleaners in industrial sizes, as well as small and large kitchen appliances and equipment. Nando's also takes pride in providing one of the quietest and most durable air conditioning systems in Belize with technical support and spare parts. Nando's Wholesale. Professional, reliable, effective, and prompt. Nando's Wholesale always delivers. Visit us at www.nandos.bz or send an email to nandos@nandos.bz. Or, even better yet, Give us a call today at 222-500 or 280-8080 to speak to one of our sales representatives today.
Back to Wake Up Belize Morning Vibes. Sister YaYa sitting in for Brother Nuri Mohammed. We have with us in a Zoom call Brother Ako Matota from Trinidad and Tobago, but they're a white man land right now. Brother Ako, we're talking about non-governmental organizations. Now, one other thing I learned from doing research about NGOs is that there's now a buffer between governments and people who would be more politicized and take more radical actions. And it tend to be people who have colonial papers or degrees. And around Hattie Roy say, real resistance have real consequence and no paycheck. So, and I was saying, I think Haiti might be the country have the most NGOs in the country. So make I get your 2 cents on how NGO take the edge off of people who normally resist oppressive conditions because of failure of state, and so in a buffer between oppressed people and the state.
So, Sister YaYa, is such an important question.
I take a, wait, take a the earpiece. Go ahead.
I said it's such an important question because I'm going to read some from some reports here, opinions of people who have studied the NGO. Now, the question you asked about Haiti, it is absolutely correct. Now, there is a political philosopher called Peter Hallward who has studied NGOs. He's a Canadian. And one of the things he said is this, that he has accused NGOs of preserving imperialism and sometimes operating in a racialized manner in what he considered third world countries of the global south. with a function similar to that of the clergy during the colonial era. Now, if you understand what he said there, the church was the other end of the sword relative to slavery and colonialism. When the conquistadores came with their sword and their spears and their muskets, those who resisted physically, the church tried to make them not resist mentally and spiritually. So the church was a significant part of the colonization and the enslavement of people in what was considered the New World. And he has accused NGOs of functioning similarly to the clergy. He goes on to say, they are an aristocratic form of politics, which is what you just talked about there, the elitist tendencies, the people who have all 3 and 4 degrees. He said they are an elitist and aristocratic form of politics. And he also noted that Action Aid and Christian Aid, 2 NGOs, effectively campaigned and condoned the 2004 US-backed coup against an elected government of President Aristide in Haiti. So that answers what you are just saying there. The elitist, and he documents it in a couple of his books. Peter Hallward. So those who want to get more information can look at his work on the role at NGOs. And he goes on to say, there are also the humanitarian face of imperialism. Now, you just made that point. Things that should, because I took notes as you were talking here, things that we should be protesting and resisting against. What they do is to calm us by giving us a little 2 cents here and a 2 cents there. In other words, I think it was Malcolm X who said it, or another political thinker who said it. What they do is to cut away your right hand and your left foot and give you a crutch and tell you that that crutch can suffice for the loss of your limbs. And this is colonization. It creates handicaps. And this is the modern version of colonization, neo-colonialism, and its ideological component, neoliberalism. In other words, they cut off your hand, cut off your foot, and then they give you a crutch and say, you should be happy. And that, in many instances, according to people like Peter Hallward and others, is the role that the modern NGO plays, right? One of the things he goes on to say also, right, is that they have been accused of weakening people by allowing their funders to prioritize stability over social justice and social equity, right? Workers from NGO participating in local communities allege that NGO prioritizes their special interest over the community well-being. So for example, like the Blue Bond in Belize and certain environmental issues, right? They don't care sometimes how these things impact the population. They just promote their agenda. Like, for example, there is an NGO right now promoting that the US should bomb Iran in order for women to be relieved of the hijab. So this is the agenda of the US. Regime change. But this NGO masquerades as if it's supporting women and the liberation of women, and so kill the woman in order for them not to wear the hijab. And this is a classic example of how a lot of the NGOs work.
One of the things too, Brother Akko, is that NGOs' loyalty is to funders, not to people. Exactly. And so that's why whatever the funder agenda is, because when you're applying for this funding, they tell you what the agenda is. And even if that's not what the organization's agenda is, they want to shift and change it for match what the funder say, because they want the money. So then take you off track as an organization because you want that money. And then they turn you into like one beggar nation. So you have the politician where give you crumbs and you're satisfied. And then you're licky because of the NGO because you want for their money. So that like we the people always in a like victim mode. We can't help ourselves. And like you shared at the beginning of this conversation, we the people who have demonstrated for generations to be self-sufficient, to be creative, to have pride in ourselves, to work together as a community.
Yeah, and that's just support the point. I supported the point you made earlier with the quote, "Whose bread I eat is whose song I sing." So whoever fund you, those are the voices you're going to listen to, and those are the songs you're going to sing. You know, and the funding of the NGO usually is not indigenous, not endogenous. In other words, it doesn't come from the community. And this is what we have to return to. I mean, if you look at what is happening in Burkina Faso right now, this is what Captain Ibrahim Traoré has done. In order to develop his country, he has found funding from inside the country, not from the World Bank, not from the IMF, not from the African Bank, which is an extension of the IMF. He mobilized the people to support their own development. And this is what we had in the Caribbean at some point in time until our leadership adopted these systems and abdicated their responsibility to lead the people in a different direction. And so now what we have more and more are these outside influences having outsized influences on our polity, our economics, and our social discourse because they fund us. And this is happening not just in the Caribbean, it is happening in Africa. There is a Tanzanian author, Issa Shivji, who has written on what he calls silences in the NGO discourse on the role of NGOs in Africa. And he says that despite the good intentions of some NGO leaders' activities, he is critical of the objective effects of their actions regardless of their intentions. According to him, they are part of this neoliberal paradigm that I mentioned, and they are not purely motivated by goodwill and altruism. Right? He said they want to change the world without understanding it, continuing the imperial and imperialist tradition. And so this is what we are dealing with. And there is no serious discourse on this. In fact, the only serious discourse that, in my mind, from a leader that emerged from this is when Vladimir Putin, at the Munich Security Conference, I think maybe 10 years ago, he raised the role that the NGOs were playing in Russia. And eventually the Russian Duma parliament passed a law that if you are an NGO and you are serving the interests of foreign entities, you should register as a foreign enterprise or something like that, a foreign agent, right? And we in the Caribbean, we have not gotten to that point. Some of these organizations are clearly working not in the interest of our country, of our countries. And we have no law protecting our sovereignty. And this is an important thing here. We are, if we ever had it, whatever little sovereignty we had in the Caribbean, we are losing it. And our leaders, both at the political level, the economic level, and the social level, do not seem to understand the importance of sovereignty. And so these NGOs in particular, they are Trojan horses. And if people understand the concept of the Trojan horse, it was a story in which the Trojans were given a gift, I think, by the Greeks, and it was a horse, and they felt that it was such a pretty thing, and they were all happy that they got this great gift. But in the Trojan horse were soldiers who sneaked out in the night and burnt the city down. And so, to some extent, in my view and the view of many others, this is the role that NGOs are playing in terms of undermining our sovereignty and creating open spaces for neoliberalism and US imperialism and European imperialism to dominate our society in ways they couldn't do before, because we were aware of what was happening and we fought. This is a thing that puts you to sleep. And as you are sleeping, they are telling you they are doing good, meanwhile undermining your sovereignty, taking away your life, and totally destroying your initiative and your ability to do things for yourself.
We have another 5 minutes, so this will be the last question I'll ask you, Brother Akko, and I appreciate the knowledge and wisdom you shared with this morning. Yesterday we had Brother Darius Figueira on. You know, he wrote the book, Belize, Human Smuggling, Transnational Organized Crime, Politicians and Public Servants. And he made the point that throughout the Caribbean, because we have cut and paste constitution, the British-speaking Caribbean that is, as it relates to our constitution, the Westminster system, that it never designed to give people the quality of life that we born for have. So understanding that framework and understanding the role of NGOs and politicians who betray way, they have one good understanding of the landscape and they want to make sure they have the financial wealth at the expense of the public purse oftentimes. I mean, what are we to do, Brother Akko, within one framework like that? Brother Dara said he not believing in being hopeless. But what, in listening to all that you shared this morning about non-governmental organization, and I have some young people where they chase them degrees and hope one NGO hiring. They get for travel, they meet people where they think they're not people, then get opportunities where they never had before. So then see this as a good thing. And then buy into whatever the, let's say, an environmental organization might set up for their mandate. So what are we to do, Brother Akko?
What are we to do, Sister YaYa? The same thing we have been doing. Fight, the same thing Bob Marley said. It takes a revolution to bring a solution. We have to mobilize ourselves around our own ideas, around our own interests. And we have to fight in areas where we have influence. We have, for example, to demand that we get an education that focuses on our own humanity, our own history, our own cultural struggles and so on. Right now, our education throughout the Caribbean is based on a model that undermines our independence of thought, undermines our self-confidence, and is very Eurocentric. This is why you are fighting a battle, a policy battle in Belize, and the brother we had last week, Shabaka, is fighting the same thing in Trinidad and other parts of the Caribbean. That in our education system, our cultural artifacts and our cultural expressions are undermined. We have to fight at those levels to ensure that in the education system and in the spaces that we fought for, that there is some kind of freedom there, that there is some kind of liberation there. And that is what I like, Brother Darius. I am not a person who believes in hopelessness, right? There is always something we can do. And even this conversation we're having this morning, the conversations we have on Sunday, the things we do on Haiti, all of these things are raising consciousness. It may not appear to be much, but as the old people say, one cocoa fill the basket. And if we do our individual parts, right, on a consistent and regular basis and do it with honesty, we will eventually change. As Mao Zedong would say, imperialism is a paper tiger. Right? It looks ferocious. It looks as if it is overwhelming, but it is not. You know, there is a statement they use, and I always laugh at it. You know, as a young child, you would read about 20,000 troops and 50,000 troops, and the way that was put in your head is like if it's something that is undefeatable. As I came to understand things better, 50,000 troops are 50,000 men who bleed, who if shot could be killed, you know, and so on. And we have to understand things and know his own basic things, because language is also used to create blocks and challenges in our minds that undermine our self-confidence. And I would tell you this, in my opinion, one of the fundamental issues facing the Caribbean people right now is the winning of our self-confidence. We are losing an ability in our own sense of self and our own abilities to do things. And that is what we have to restore. Our political systems, our education systems, our social systems, our cultural systems must be organized to serve us in that way. The late Lloyd Best used to say something, because a lot of our leaders would talk about how small our size were and all of that stuff. And he would say size is not a problem, right? Size produces comparative advantages. What we have to find is what is our comparative advantage. what comparative advantages our small size, our locations where we are, offers us. And then when we discover these comparative advantages, how do we utilize them to dominate the world? The West Indies cricket team did it and dominated the world in cricket for years, right? With against nations like India with how many 1,000 times our population. The Jamaican athletes do it all the time. So we have advantages, but our education and social systems are not encouraging us to understand these advantages. And that is what we must focus on. What are our advantages and how can we use those advantages to advance our own agendas on our own cause and our own civilization?
Big thanks, Brother Akamotota from Trinidad, the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago. And of course, going to have a reason with her this Sunday morning. We have two big guests. What is the guest name, Brother Ako? We're talking about capitalism. I mean, we're talking about militarism in the Caribbean.
Dr. Thame of Jamaica and Corey Juice, an independent researcher from Trinidad and Tobago.
That's this Sunday on XTV Creme Radio, 10:30 to noon. Break time. Thanks, Brother Ako. See you Sunday morning.
All right, there. Thank you very much.
In 2024, the Belizean Diaspora took over Los Angeles with the first ever Belize Diaspora Summit, and you know the only thing that could be ever better than that is to do it again. Belize Diaspora Summit 2.0. This time it takes place in the state of Florida, Fort Lauderdale Board Convention Center, July 10th, the 11th, the 12th. Belizeans from the diaspora, Belizeans from home in Belize, join together. Let's do it again. 3 days, government services, clinics, business displays, kitty corner, pop-up trivias, panel discussions. There will be highlights for business mixers. There will be a live performance. Racindio, Destiny Wagner is going to be there. There's going to be a live performance of Makobi. And you will have Immigration and Civil Rights Town Hall. Special guest Kenneth Gibson, interview and book reading. There will be a wind-up reception, rhythms and rum. It's happening, Belize Diaspora 2.0, Florida, Fort Lauderdale Board Convention Center. Don't miss it.
In Belize, diversity is our strength. From the vibrant streets of Corozal to the serene beauty of Punta Gorda, and from the charming town of Benque to the breathtaking views of Half Moon Key. We are a tapestry of cultures, traditions, and perspectives. But amidst our differences, there's one thing that unites us all, that defines the essence of Belizean identity. Our love for this land and sea we call home. Our Belize Barrier Reef is more than just a natural wonder. It's the lifeblood of our nation, the foundation of our culture, and the backbone of our economy. Every lobster caught, every conch harvested, every tourist enchanted, every investor satisfied, every proud homeowner, and every taxpayer. They all depend on the health and vitality of our marine environment.
I may be out on the water every day, but I know that my livelihood is tied to the health of the reef. We all depend on it.
As a tour guide, I get to share the beauty of a reef with visitors from around the world. But I want future generations of Belizeans to experience it too.
Fresh seafood is the heart of Belizean cuisine.
I want to continue creating delicious dishes that celebrate our local flavors, sustainably sourced from our waters.
In Belize, we may come from different backgrounds, but we all share the same dream: a thriving marine environment capable of sustaining us all. Together, let's work toward that future. A future where we all thrive.
At Atlantic Bank, we stand as more than just a financial institution. We are your partners in progress, dedicated to fostering your success by providing tailored solutions to micro, small, and medium enterprises. Your successes are our triumphs, and every success story deserves to be celebrated. We pledge to stand by you every step of the way. Today, we celebrate the values that define you with your unwavering dedication, steadfast commitment, boundless innovation, resolute work ethic, and unyielding ambition. We will navigate challenges, seize opportunities, and continue building the future together.
Make light work lighter and quicker with switch technology from Axi Power Tools. Axi Switch technology breaks the bondage of power cords and grants you the luxury of freedom and precision. Switch one battery across all your Axi line power tools effortlessly, allowing for quick and efficient work. Cut the cords. Choose efficiency with Axi Switch technology. Only at Benny's. Quality and savings.
Let's take a journey through the core functions of the Social Security Board. It all starts with registering as an insured person, employer, or self-employed individual. Sign up for a portal account to manage your Social Security information online. Just provide accurate information and click Create. This will give you access to a range of services and benefits. Next, your contribution, along with investments and other income, are collected and distributed into 3 funds. This ensures that the SSB fund is securely utilized to support various benefit programs. The SSB is committed to providing essential benefits such as sickness, maternity, injury, and pension. These benefits are paid out to eligible individuals as a part of the Social Security coverage. We help you navigate through life's challenges with financial security. Annual surplus accumulates to grow the fund each year. This surplus is invested into various industries, contributing to the growth and development of our nation. With each passing year, the fund continues to grow due to the annual surplus and interest revenue earned from prudent investments. This surplus, along with reserves, helps to bolster the SSB fund and provide a safety net for those in need. We've arrived at the end of our journey to better understanding how the SSB works. We remain committed to serving you and building a secure future for all Belizeans.
Back to Wake Up Belize Morning Vibes. Time for Shut the Shop. Morning. Still apologies for being a little bit over 9 o'clock because I know 9 to 9. Thanks for callers, listeners, viewers, those streaming online on XTV Belize YouTube, XTV Belize Facebook page. The show on repeat at 3:30 today on XTV, your local channel. Respect to the security guard. When I came in, it was Lloyd Lewis. Now it's Shane Flowers. Here at XTV, we have Christy Flowers as the technical director, Cliff Lewis as senior engineer. Downstairs in Crumb Radio, we have Tony Grant. Yes, Tony Grant, that engineer down at Crumb Radio. We want to say big thanks to Brother Akamotota, who was our guest this morning by Zoom, discussing non-governmental organizations. We had like an hour story, Belizean hour stories this morning. Thanks for the caller. Give thanks to the sister Carla and Gui. We'll compliment our story with her anecdotal story, growing up through Majestic Alley and the memories they have as a child. The 70s, It rain, I hear around by St. Mary's school got water. I know how I go when I start to rain. My brother come in as slippers, I usually have on tennis shoes. Harlan Wagner morning. Anyway, Belizean people, take care of yourself. Spread good vibrations everywhere you go. Stop the people of Harlan. All the people are save the people.
Wake up, Belize. Wake up, Belize. Wake up, Belize. Wake up, Belize. Another day is here. Wake up, Belize. Wake up, Belize. We gotta keep moving. Na 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 na. Wake up, Belize. Wake up, Belize. Everybody gotta put the time in. Wake up, Belize. Wake up, Belize. Voice of opinion and place your calling. Be yourself, see yourself. This is a show.